If you want to tell a great story about your product, a service, your book, one of the best things that you can do is tell a David versus Goliath story. It's an us versus them on the surface of the small guy versus the big guy. And what makes that story fascinating is that for thousands of years, you've seen it across everyone about the small guy using his skills to overcome this big giant. And what I talked about in the previous video was what the Goliath story really meant when I watched the David movie and saw that it wasn't just about small guy, big guy, that guy in the industry. We're the tiny, scrappy brand. We're the boutique agency. We're the My Tiny Book versus the big one. It was really a story about belief. And there were three things that I pointed out in that video about what happens when you tell a Goliath story. The Goliath story, really, what is it? One is that David rejected the armor from the king. They said, you're going to get mashed. This guy is a champion fighter. They have all the money in the world. There's no way you can overcome them by yourself. And what David knew is he had God on his side. He felt that he had the creator of the universe. There's no other power than that. And by having that on his side, his own natural gifts and talents and abilities, this higher calling and purpose, that there's no way he can lose. And one of the things that we tend to do, I said in that video, is to take someone else's armor, what they're doing, their skills, their talents, and we try to recreate that. If we're an introvert, we try to be loud and an extrovert. If someone has an expensive camera and we spend all this time trying to put on someone else's armor, he doesn't want to have to learn how to use something in order to get his talents and protect the people. He's there to protect someone. That's the second thing, is that David was there to protect someone, just like you are. Whether it's the you from a year or two ago, the you of now, there's people who feel rejected and unloved, unwelcome, unthought of. They're being left out. And there's something that is making them not enjoy life the way it was intended. This is the way we have to be. And in the David story, what was interesting is instead of running away or putting on armor, he ran towards the giant, which is something that would have been unheard of. It took him off guard because he didn't just dabble. He didn't just try to outmaneuver using the same tactics. He ran towards him because he felt that he had the wind in his back and someone else who were bigger on his side. So it's this clash of beliefs that we're dealing with David versus Goliath stories. Someone thinks they have to be the bros that's showing cars and a bunch of money and girls and a house. Well, maybe you reject that and you want to prove that there's another way of doing it. One of the things, for example, I was looking at making print-on-demand products on Etsy, and I made these sweatshirts right here. I noticed that apparel for black sororities was expensive or non-existent. It's just a red shirt with an elephant. Everyone knows what it is, and I'm gonna get away with this. And I did for a while and made some good money. However, one of the things with the platforms is if they get an IP complaint in any type, you get kicked off. Looking back at that, I realized that these weren't my gifts. Now, I spotted a need out there, but I'm not a designer. I'm not even in the sororities. I'm not a part of that culture. It was solving a problem, but not my gift. My gift is storytelling and connecting with people. Those are the types of gifts that I can actually help people with. And if I really thought about it, this wasn't a God-given gift. There's God-given gifts, things in life that you are especially good at, that you are compelled to bring out into the world. Those are the gifts that you should probably lead with, not money, which is what I was doing. Really, I was just trying to skirt cheating. And it's a blessing that I got kicked off those platforms because then I started to develop something on my own. And then, as I had mentioned in a previous video, I actually started using my gifts of storytelling and systems to help clients get on TikTok. Now, this is a badge from yesterday's South by Southwest event. It was a closed door event with TikTok that they have to sign in, and you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement in order to be in the sessions. Now, I went from selling bootleg shirts on Etsy to getting invited to a TikTok exclusive event. That was a turnaround. And the way that I did this is on LinkedIn. I started posting long form LinkedIn content, full on case studies that were like 10 to 20 minute reads. On my second post, I started getting connected with TikTok. They approved me as a TikTok approved partner. They saw my posts, I assume. And by putting myself out there in the world on LinkedIn, of all platforms, I hadn't been on LinkedIn in a decade. And when I got there, I rejected the fact that I was going to have to post 5 times or 7 times a week. It's the same old BS stuff. It takes me 7 to 8 hours to write these long form, well-researched newsletter posts on LinkedIn. I literally spend 8 hours researching, writing, getting graphics, and trying to get something that's helpful. I knew that if I helped someone solve a problem and I told them step by step how I'm helping clients solve this problem, and I am posting about it publicly on LinkedIn and getting connected with real human beings, then that's how my Goliath story came about. That's how I got invited to the event. I got to know some amazing people there. I validated everything that we were doing and why it works. And I'm going to be posting about that. There's a lot of people you can help. And once they start seeing your success, they'll say, how do I do that? And now you're using your gifts and your talents in a much larger way that impacts the whole rest of the world. So that is my view of what a gladiator story is when you show up on the scene, you have a higher calling and purpose, you see the way things are done, and you reject it. And not only do you reject it, but you do something that is all you, that you put yourself out there and you slay the giants. And it may feel like you didn't do much today, but you took one step forward when you take your Goliath story to the public, when you tell people about it. You just want every day to do one more thing. And that's what the Just Post Challenge is about. Every day, putting something positive out into the world at the very least. It doesn't have to be perfect, because if it is, we'll never get it done. So I hope that has inspired you. And then again, trying to look at, well, what kind of story can I tell? It was about the time that I was stealing, in a way, someone's IP on a platform, got rejected, started over. 5 years later, I'm at a TikTok event behind closed doors with all sorts of influencers that flew in from all over the world. So let me know what your gladiator story is. I'd be very interested. When did you conquer the giant in your life? Anxiety, depression, this thought that you're not good enough. I challenge you to put your gladiator story. What is it that you have conquered in the past? The next one, we're going to talk about an artisan's story, how not to be boring when you talk about your product, your process, what you do. And then the champion story, the one that you tell. That's one of my favorite stories that is almost like a gladiator story, but for the people. If there's any people that you really think are inspiring, then maybe there's something about a story that touched you that I might be able to break down. And if you have any questions about how it's done or you need any type of help, then let me help you. Go ahead and put it in the comments and I respond to every one of them.